Hello everyone, it's Attacker72 here, and for today. So over a year ago, Pokémon Legends Z-A was first revealed by GameFreak and the Pokémon Company, and for over an entire year, the game has been pretty much quiet, which is honestly a good thing because a lot of fans haven't wanted to see the game at least take their time to cook, because after what happened with Scarlet and Violet, I mean, we don't really want that situation to happen again. But after an entire year of basically no information, we got ourselves a good look at the trailer at the latest Pokemon Presents presentation, and overall so far, from just first impressions and basically my first thoughts on what I feel about Z-A so far, this might sound like a bit of a hot take, but I'm not really convinced about Z-A so far. Now look, I wanted to mention this, that I like, to be impressed by how it looks so far, what the gameplay is all about, and to see whether or not it convinced someone like, me to actually buy the game. I know I'm not the targeted audience, and I know this may not target to basically everyone, but first impressions matter to me, and so far, Legends Z-A feels okay so far, but something about it feels like it doesn't want me to buy the game at all. Now before I even, talk about this further, Pokémon Legends Arceus is like one of my favorite games on the Nintendo Switch. It tried something new that the Pokémon franchise has never encountered before with its gameplay and natural-like setting, that it really makes it feel so unique out of the past Pokémon games where it's mostly just turn-based RPGs. So after going from this to pretty much what we have with Z-A, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like something about this is like a step backwards to what Arceus is trying to set up. Now, one thing's for certain is that despite Pokemon being a very large franchise, like Pokemon in general is like one of the largest series that a lot of fans can recognize, even from just the name alone, and even the most recognizable character next to others like Mario and Sonic. But still, the one thing that a lot of Pokemon fans, including myself, can conclude is that the series for the past decade or so has mostly been going for quantity over quality, and most of the time it just makes some of their latest titles rush. It has been the first thing that we have when it came to the Switch era of Pokemon titles is that they removed the National Dex and still hasn't improved the quality ever since like the 3DS days. Then I think there's a bit of a problem with that, which is why after a year of no information, it feels refreshing. And as I said, it feels like there isn't much that they have. Now, quality-wise, in terms of what we have, in terms of quality to Z-A, it absolutely does improve from the last Pokemon title. Scarlet and Violet is a game that I honestly can't stand to look at because, Scarlet and Violet in general has a lot of issues, but in terms of visuals and running on the Switch, it has no reason to look this way. And this is the same console that runs both Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Tears of the Kingdom on that same console. I know I've made this comparison a few times, but it's very noticeable when it came to one of the biggest franchises in the world, especially when it's an RPG like Pokemon. So quality-wise, it definitely has improved, and it's now being taken place in Lumio City. Now, one thing I am a little bit kind of sad about is the fact that they kind of removed the natural setting from Arceus. Yeah, the quality for Arceus still has some janky glitches every once in a while, so it isn't really much of a perfect game to a lot of fans, but it was still at least a new take that the Pokemon Company had decided to go forward to. But even still, I feel like removing its natural setting and also having the area being taken place in modern day Lumios kind of removes the whole thing of what makes Legends, because what I also like about Arceus is that it takes place in a new region of Hisui, where you get to see basically the build up to where Sinnoh is today. So having basically it being a modern setting feels kind of strange in my opinion, and it removes a lot of the whole old days of what it means to be called Legends. But that's mostly just kind of a small nitpick of mine and not really much to go over. But I am kind of a bit saddened that they did sort of remove most of the natural setting that Arceus had. Now, aside from quality, there's also the gameplay, which is mostly the same from Arceus, which, it's pretty obvious, but one thing that does bother me a lot, though, is the fact that the exploration part was kind of removed. So, in the trailer for Legends Z-A, they revealed that this entire area will be taking place in modern-day Lumios, just one specific area. And in order to catch Pokemon in there, they decided to do this thing called wild areas, where it's mostly you go inside these wild zones, and then you just catch Pokemon this way. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of removes the whole point of, you know, exploring the entirety of Pokemon worlds. Like Arceus, I know I've mentioned this a few times before, it takes place in like one specific region, but you get to explore into many different types of areas, and you get to not only battle Pokemon, but to also have real-time turn-based RPG combat that also what this game makes it stand out from the last few Pokemon games. So having basically be in one specific location feels kind of disappointing. And you know, and in terms of what we have so far, Nintendo has confirmed that this does wholly take place in like Lumio City, like modern day Lumios, and I don't know how to feel about that. In terms of the actual gameplay, now they do have the real-time combat, like I said, but one thing for certain is that now the moves have now gotten cooldowns. Why exactly? I don't know. I guess they wanted to kind of spice things up. I'm glad that it isn't like any more turn-based, and you can still do those turn-based RPG types, but otherwise, all you can really see so far is that you're mostly there to catch Pokemon and then, you know, have some real-time combats. Like, I feel like one of the only reasons that a lot of fans like myself were excited to see this was because of the return of Mega Evolutions, which hasn't been seen since Sun and Moon. Now, another thing I want to also go over one last time is also the new starters for Z-A. Like Arceus, we got ourselves 3 different types of Pokemon that all comes from 3 different types of regions. But for this one, I'm not gonna lie, something about Z-A's starter lineup feels kinda off. I don't know, I mean, Tepig is not too bad, but Totodile and Chikorita, why exactly do we have 2 starters that are from Generation 2? I don't know why that's the case, and I mean, I don't even like Chikorita, and I mean, Totodile's fine, but having 2 Generation 2 starters for Z-A feels also kind of like a step backwards to what Arceus had, where we got 3 different Pokemon from 3 regions. I mean, I would have at least replaced, I don't know, like Chikorita with at least Grookey from Sword and Shield, I don't know, maybe some type of generation that isn't just Generation 2, because we got Cyndaquil and Arceus, so having another 2 sets of Pokemon that comes from the same generation feels kind of odd to me. And you know, if they're going to have like these Mega Evolutions for all of them, I mean, at least that's something cool, but otherwise, I feel like this starter lineup feels kind of okay-ish in my book. But that's all I could really say about Z-A. As I want to mention is that first impressions matter to me. I know that I'm not the target audience or anything, and I mean, I still like Pokemon. I really do enjoy the game series for what it tries to be, but one thing is that I want Pokemon to improve. It's been this way for so many years now, and having basically the same thing can get tiring every once in a while. And while they do try to mix it up in like every entry, it feels that GameFreak and the Pokemon Company really does this whole, you know, quantity over quality method where they mostly like rush out games every time. I mean, we saw what happened with Sword and Shield, and we definitely saw what happened with Scarlet and Violet, but with a 2025 fall release date, or like the fall release date, which will be this year, all I can say is that I'm not convinced to what Z-A has to offer. So unless there is like more trailers or at least more information that will be coming out on Z-A, I'm just gonna be saying that I'm just going to be saving my money for this. But if this is not a video that I'm making out of simply negativity. This is mostly coming from my personal impressions on how I feel towards Z-A in general. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I want to know your thoughts and opinions about what you all think about Legends Z-A so far. Are you impressed with this game? Do you think it's worth your purchase, or do you think this game needs more time to cook for a good while? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below about this. And so with that, leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more videos, follow my Twitter. I'll see you guys next time. And remember this, once a legend, always a legend.